This is a story about Jason the Toymaker by Christian Till. Sorry if I butchered the name. I don't have many memories left from my past. The faces of my real parents were like faded masks in my mind. I only had some remains of my childhood, faceless names, and total darkness. At the age of 9, something had happened in my family. The trauma was so deep that it made me forget most of my life. I only had the shred of memories related to my best friend. He was the only one I had in my whole life. It was an image stuck in my mind, going together with laughter in the background and the melody of a music box. Among the black holes of my amnesia, I caught a glimpse of his honey-colored eyes and his dark mahogany hair. I remember his friendly smile, but nothing else. All the rest disappeared in the dark. So did he. The memories went back to the orphanage from where I was born. Some awesome parents, Madalena and Stephen, who gave me back the whole warm feeling of having a family, adopted me, a feeling which I had forgotten. They raised me in their house until the age of 15. My amnesia led me to go on examinations and psychological checkups, which year after year were slowly starting to fail. It looked like I wouldn't be able to get my memory back. This fact left me distraught. On one hand, I wanted to know what happened, but on the other, an odd feeling of anxiety suggested that I not to wish for it. Obviously, there were some unpleasant consequences to my trauma. It was just like some paranoia of being persecuted by something. The specialist told my parents it must have been linked to a particular memory which was continuously stimulated. Neither the cause nor what it was exactly was clear, but despite my efforts, I couldn't focus on it. I feel like I was being observed, not by people, but by the stuffed toys in my room. It was stupid, I know. At the beginning, they were simply toys. But time and time again, the big round eyes seemed to stare at me. Since I was little, I thought the stuffed toys in my room were alive, and sometimes I tried to prove it. I spied out of my room when the door left ajar. Then I turned back suddenly, and I never took my eyes off of them until I felt a bitter burning sensation from not blinking my eyes. The memories was one of the few memories from my childhood that still made me smile, but things have changed. Time after time, the stuffed toys were the ones staring at me. It almost looked like they wanted to test me, and I couldn't bear it anymore. The thought stuck in my head. At times, it seemed to me that they moved, turning their little faces towards me. At other times, they made the noises in the room. This couldn't be true, obviously. Why did this thought persecute me? Why did I hate those stuffed toys? In spite of everything, why couldn't I get rid of them? could have presented them to other children or thrown them into the rubbish. One day I did, but when I took one of them in my arms, a strong sensation of anxiety and terror stopped me. I almost ended up putting them back. I always ended up putting them back to their places, on the furniture, on the bed, on the shelves. Then I had to take tranquilizers. There was only one toy I took along with me during the night, despite my age. I couldn't separate from him, and I felt a familiar affection from him that started long before my amnesia. I found him in my wardrobe at the orphanage, and from there on out we became inseparable. It was a sweet bunny with ears as long as him. On one side, it was red. On the other side, it recited caramel color. He wore a black waistcoat with two long sleeves that draped down to the point of his feet, and dashing elegant collar that donned pointed tips of every edge of the fabric. His little left beaded eyes were covered with a stylish, frilly eye patch, and at the center donned a black button. It was funny, but it looked like the only stuffed toy that was harmless. He slept by my side ever since I was little, just like that night after I sneaked under the sheets, falling asleep almost instantly among the creaking old walls. I was standing still in the darkness, unable to move, and I couldn't understand how I ended up there, surrounded only by distilled silence. Something slimy grabbed my wrist and it held me so tightly that an instant pain shot right through me. A set of white nails slowly penetrated my flesh. I watched them cutting through my skin, making me bleed. I screamed and cried, but a laugh bellowed out, covering my desperate pleas. "She belongs to me," a voice whispered to me with that dark abyss. Two green sparkling eyes appeared before me. They were a few inches away from my face. "You are only a hindrance to me," he laughed, amused by my pain, while he pierced needles under my nails and into my flesh. He ruined my body with rusty tools. On the contrary, he said he was going to fix me all up. I noticed an open door, the only thing I could distinguish from the darkness. My eyes blurred by the pain. I saw a glimpse of people standing still, gazing down at me. The image of that door got closer in order to show me their vacant expression. Despite the grimace plastered on their face, I saw that they were not real people. They were dolls, and in some way, I felt a strong sense of nausea overcome me by just staring at them. There was something about them that made me weak to my stomach, and maybe it was their extraordinary and macabre, I don't macabre resemblance to real people. She belongs to me. With that, I woke up, my eyes wide open, and the beating of my heart was so loud that I could feel them pounding inside my throat. I couldn't breathe, so I stood up and sat back down. I rubbed my eyes and I realized that I was sweating. The bunny fell, landing upside down. I leaned down for him and put him back on the bed. My breathing returned to its normal breathing pace, but the image of those needles, dirty of blood, and those terrifying dolls remained embedded in my mind. I never had such a nightmare like that before. The feelings were so terribly real. I still felt those claws making a hole in my flesh, but I was relieved that I woke up. The door squeaked. It was my mother coming into the room. As soon as she saw my exhausted face, her smiles on her face faded away. "Honey, are you okay?" "Yes, I only had a nightmare. Now everything is alright." "Well, okay, Daisy came to visit you. I hope her to wait for you in the living room." I told her to wait for you in the living room. Okay, with that, I got out of my bed. I was dressed poorly, and I didn't want my best friend to see me in that way. While my mother closed the door, I ran over to my wardrobe and took out an ordinary dress. In the space of a few minutes, I came out of my room neat and ready. In my haste, I was out of breath. "Finally!" exclaimed Daisy, smiling. I met Daisy at the middle school, and ever since then we were inseparable. She was a kind and generous person. She was always welcomed in our family. My parents appreciated her good manners, but what I loved about her especially was that she never asked me